Hello, everyone. This is our last week together. You guys did it. We're on week 6. And remember, this week is a short week because everything is due on Sunday. Sunday is the last day of class. So be certain to get your work in on Sunday. So if you have any knowledge checks that you need to redo, if you didn't do any discussions, get those done so you can get some points. Do your peer responses to those discussions. Get your assignments, week 6 assignment in. And also, week 5 late submissions, they're due tonight. So get those week 5 late submissions in if you did not get to your week 5 yet. Chef Jonathan, how were week 5 assignments looking this week?
Good. I love the creativity that goes into these different marketing plans. There are so many options out there. You can do merchandise, you can do logos, signs, TV, radio, newspaper, you can do car wraps. There's so many different ways to market your business, and this assignment really allows you to be creative and find what sounds like fun and sounds effective to you individually. So I got to see a lot of different marketing techniques, and that's always wonderful. A couple of stumbling blocks here. One of the most common ones was that concept summary. You want to make sure you have all of that wonderful information from week 1 in a 1 to 3 sentence summary right at the top of your assignment, because your hours, your days of operation are going to affect how much labor you have to really execute these marketing techniques. The location is going to impact the cost of your, say, billboards in a big way, or TV or radio or newspaper. Because if you're in a really rural area, you probably have less expensive costs for those things than if you're in, say, New York City. Manhattan is outrageous. So definitely need to see all of that information on that concept summary. Another one was just missing that budgeting piece. And that's where that research really comes in. You really want to dig into whatever your chosen marketing techniques is, and figure out what it's actually going to cost you in the area that you want to start this business for the business that you're talking about. Remember, the live session slides from last week have some great links on them that can be tremendously helpful with that budgeting aspect. So if you did happen to make one of those, they're pretty quick fixes. Just head back into that week 5 assignment page and click that submit button again after updating your assignment, and I'll be able to regrade it. If you get your assignment in before midnight tonight for the first time, I will be able to regrade it. You will be able to resubmit it all the way up until the end of the class on Sunday night. And as a reminder, again, the class closes at 11:59 p.m. Sunday night, so everything for the whole class needs to be in by then. And there is no late period this week.
No, there is not. There is no late period because class is done. Class ends Sunday. So it's more important to get your assignment in early so you have that opportunity for Chef Jonathan to grade it and then be able to resubmit. But when I say early, do it now. Don't wait until, Sunday at, 10 a.m. to turn it in. He's busy. He's got a whole lot of assignments to grade. So if you want valuable feedback, get it done early. How early should they get it done for that valuable feedback?
Tonight is best after the live session while this information is still really fresh. But if you want to get an opportunity to resubmit, I need you to submit it before Saturday night, because I just won't have time to grade everyone's assignment if everybody is submitting on Sunday. And so I really need to see it before Sunday night if you want that resubmit opportunity all the way up until the end of class on Sunday night.
And Chef Jonathan talked about the slides. Like every single slide that we have had, they are going to greatly help with your assignment, especially this week's slide. really put them together so it could answer all of the questions that your assignment is asking, and then some. So please remember, at the end of the class, you can't really go back on and, years from now to look at the knowledge checks and the research materials, but you can copy all of the slides that I made, because there's some great links in there that will really, really help you when you are ready to start your business. Start making that concept, your dream, a reality. And they'll also help if you decide you're going to be a manager, an executive chef. All of this information is information that you need to know if you want to be in management. And it's really important to know all of this stuff, especially even like business, like the liquor license, all of that, like the hooplas that you have to go through with that. It's really nice, as Chef Jonathan has said before, it's really nice to know what the owners went through to get this started, so you can appreciate the amount of time and effort that they have put into it. And they will appreciate you if you understand all of this information. So remember, make copies of it and have it on your back burner in your Google Drive folder for later on. And to start the delightful slides, remember, we just talked about this. The assignments are due on Sunday. Week 5 late submissions are due tonight, so get those done. Use the slides from last week if you did not do your week 5 late submission. And actually, Chef Jonathan, I was talking to Chef Genevieve, and she had a fabulous marketing idea for when she was trying to find her externship and find a job after she went to school. Because as you guys may or may not know, Chef Genevieve is an Escoffier graduate, just like Chef Jonathan. And she actually used all of the pictures, like she took her best pictures that she took from all of the different foods that she made throughout the program, and she made business cards out of them. So she put like the picture of the food that she made, like her favorite ones, and then she had all of her info on it. So she would go to different bakeries that she was really excited about, and she would end up giving them a business card, and she had a variety. So she could even she even said how she had that variety, so she could just show her little portfolio right there with all the different business cards that had all the different photos of the food that she was proud of that she made. Isn't that cool? I was like, oh my God, I'm going to mention that.
That is really awesome. I love it. I've heard of building a kind of portfolio of pictures like that, but not a business card. That's awesome.
I know, right? I was like, that's genius. Like, I have to tell that to my class tomorrow. I was like, that is awesome. And also, remember, knowledge checks, get those done. They're worth points. Even if you missed one from a previous week, get in and get that done. Take the knowledge checks. Just like those discussions, get those in. Summer breaks officially begins June 26th, and it goes until July 9th. I really wanted to make certain you guys were aware of when your summer break is. You will be back in class on July 10th, and you will get access to that class on July 10th. So if you are hoping to get on and see what class you're going to be in and be able to explore, you're not going to be able to get in yet. You will not get into that class until July 10th. And do your surveys. Your surveys are worth extra credit. So get in and do your survey. Your survey, if I can pull up my other screen, is right up here. So get in and get that survey done. And remember, research materials are here. Obviously, the live session archive will be right here for those watching the live session archive. And your assignment is right here. And that's where that delightful template is. Chef Jonathan, do you want to talk about the assignment? Because we're going to talk about actually the assignment a little bit first, and then we're going to go through the slides and tell you slide by slide where everything is answered for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just share my screen here. So this is that template Chef Rachel was just pointing you towards, and you're just going to go topic by topic. So first up, as always, that concept summary, name of your business, location of your business, both city and state, please. Hours of operation, days of operation, what type of business it is. That would be food truck or restaurant or catering company or whatever the case may be. Oh gosh. Oh, and style of service. So if you could please make sure that's the first thing you do. Next up, estimated startup cost and explanation. So how much money do you think it's going to take to start up your business? Then you're going to talk about 2 different funding sources and why you chose them. So guys, I'm just running through this really quick so you just have it in the back of your head as we're starting to talk about this. But those 2 funding sources, there are so many funding sources out there, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of them. You only need to pick 2, and you need to tell me why you picked them, why they're best for you and your concept. Next up, who's going to own the business? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be you and your spouse? Is it going to be partners? Going to be a whole group of people? Who is it that's going to have ownership of your business? And then finally, how are you going to structure that ownership? And when I say structuring ownership, that's going to be things like an LLC, sole proprietorship, corporation, partnership, which again, we're going to talk about tonight in this live session. So you guys are going to get kind of the keys to the kingdom here on this assignment. So make sure to pay attention as we're going through. Yeah, so that's kind of the assignment in a nutshell. Again, make sure to submit it as soon as possible so you can resubmit if needed.
I gotta unmute myself first. Yes. And one key part that we have talked about nonstop in this class is doing your research. You want to do your research for looking for your money because there are so many different possibilities out there. You guys don't just have to go to a bank. If you want to get a Shark Tank venture capitalist investor, that's awesome. If you want to do an angel investor, if you want to do a food co-op, you have different possibilities out there for you guys to choose from. So that's what we get to go over today. And the main thing I really want to make certain that you guys do not do is borrow from family. Do not borrow from family. And this is once again where I absolutely love Bob's Burgers. Bob's Burgers, he's a great example because he had a fantastic product that people really liked, but he was poor in his business. He had child labor law issues because Louise is like 9. She should not be working in there. And he didn't have the right type of marketing. He didn't have enough customers. And he once tried to, he took money from his best friend, $100,000, which did not go well. And you could see it in the episode because his friend started changing things. And once you borrow money from someone like a family member or a friend, they will want to have input on your business. And I don't know about you guys, but I am the youngest and I'm actually the quietest of the family, if you can believe that. and I do not want my brother or sister telling me how to run my business in my industry. They are not in my industry. My sister is a crazy, super smart scientist, and my brother does IT computer stuff. They know nothing of food. So I do not want them telling me what to do and how to run my business in my industry. And that could potentially happen if you borrow money from family. Am I right, Chef Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. You can cook incredible food and still have your business fail. You can have a great business plan and still have your business fail. Our industry is actually considered extremely high risk when it comes to investment because so many concepts, food industry businesses close. If it's your family and they've invested, like, say, their retirement, well, there's not much you can do for them should something happen to your business. If somebody has a lawsuit against your business, they slipped on the ice on your sidewalk and they sued you for all you're worth and your business goes under. There's no getting mom and dad their retirement money back at that point. So what do you say to them? It makes for really fractured families. It puts your family and home life at jeopardy, and you really don't want to do that. You want to have that separation between yourself and your business in a big way.
Yeah, it can also make for really awkward holiday get-togethers. You're like, they gave you money and you lost all of it. That would not be a fun holiday gathering that I would want to go to. So, and it's nice. It's good to have that work-life balance. And you can't really get that work-life balance if your family's up in your work life. So, but this is where it's important to know your investors, and your investor, what type of investors you're going to do. Because remember, a bank, you can technically consider a bank an investor because they are giving you money. And they're going to want to know all the research. They want to know the numbers. And part of doing that budget, that week 4 assignment that you guys did, that was part of figuring out those numbers. How much is it going to cost to actually start up your business? And how much money will you need for your business? Well, we have a slide for that, don't we? Here are averages for you guys to base off of, which will go towards your assignment, because part of your assignment is knowing how much money you are going to need to start off with. There is a laundry list of items that you are going to need, from renovations, construction, zoning, permits, signage, marketing, equipment, because equipment can be costly. How much for, what's the word? I'm losing. Having that savings for up to like 3 to 6 months. So in case you don't have any business coming, what's that word? I'm totally blanking right now, Chef. Do you remember?
Operating capital?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm completely blanking on that word. But it all needs to be added together so that you can really figure out how much money you're going to need from your investors, from that bank, how much you're going to actually get. And this is an average for your restaurant, for food truck, bar, we did coffee, personal chef / catering business, or if you felt like doing a franchise. Each franchise has an amount that you actually need to not only buy the system, but to get that building up to the expectations of that franchise. And now it's going to vary in your area, because obviously if I wanted to start up a food truck out here in, say, Boulder, it's definitely going to be in the high, in that $100,000 range, versus my dear friend who lives in the middle of nowhere in Illinois, in which she could probably get away with doing it for about that $50,000. But remember, the average is gonna be around that $70,000, because you not only are buying the truck, but you have to put all the equipment in it. You have to get that commissary kitchen that you're going to go to. You need to still get all those permits. So you can't just buy a truck and slap a sign on it. That sign will cost money too. You have to get it so that you are ready to go. A health inspector can go in there, make sure that it is safe. So remember that if you thought food truck was going to be a cheap way, it's cheaper than a restaurant, but it's still going to cost you money. And we get to now go into the types of loans that are available for you guys. Say you want to go to a bank, that is perfectly fine. You can go to a bank. And I gave you guys this link because it has a variety of different loans for you guys to really look at. You have your business term, your small business loans, your line of credits, and maybe you just need money to get your equipment. There's equipment financing. You have startup business loans. But a key thing I want you guys to look at when you are looking at this are those interest rates. This one ranges 7.9 to 19.9%. This interest rate is 8 to 30%. So what do you think? And all of them have an interest rate that you need to take into consideration. Now, what do you think will affect that interest rate? What do you guys think? What will affect that interest rate from you getting a low interest rate? Yes, Maurice, your credit score. Your credit score will greatly affect your interest rate. So that's why if you don't have great credit, they're still going to pull your information. They want to know how responsible you are with money. But if you don't have a great credit, that's okay. We can go over the other opportunities there are for you guys. But that's something really to consider with getting a loan, because you don't want to kill yourself trying to pay off this 30% interest rate when you may have a different option that might be better. Am I right, Chef?
You are. So, in terms of your assignment for this week, I do want to say that just saying a loan is not enough. I want to know which one of those loans you're going for and why you chose that loan over the other ones. Maybe you talk about interest rate. Maybe you say, you know, I chose a business term loan because an SBA loan is incredibly difficult to get. So I went for this because it's a little easier to obtain. You know, you want to back up whatever you're saying. So make sure that you are more specific than just, I'm going to take out a loan or a bank loan. There are so many different types of bank loans. We're really looking for much more specific than that. So keep that in mind for your assignment as you're looking at these different loans.
Which is why I gave you that link in your slides so you can choose one of those loans to go off of. The other link that I provided also discusses the differences and the best types of restaurant business loans you can get. So this link is also in that slide, and it talks about the different loans and possibilities when you're going through a bank. So if you are confused about this one here, and remember, you can just click on it and it will go through all of the different avenues for you. And that's why I really like this one, because it'll say the pros and the cons for you also, which is really why I like this link here. So use that when you're looking at the different types of loans. Now, are there any questions right now about that? Nobody? Nobody? All right. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the different types of loans. Investors. Now, I have definitely sat in a Starbucks across from an investor, gave them my portfolio, gave them my resume, showed them what I was all about, what I did, what I can do. I gave them my pitch, and I also gave them that notebook, a folder filled with all of the data that I needed. It went over the cash flow. Went over how much money I needed. It talked about the concept, what I thought I could do, the dream, all that good stuff. And this is where, once again, we talked about making certain that you actually write the information down, not just provide a link. It's the same thing here, because this is Disneyland map right here, but you can't click on that link. That's a link right there. I can't tap on that to open it. So that's where it's really important to write all of that information down for your investors and for the rest of your assignments. All right, Chef?
Absolutely. Some other things that were probably included in that pitch: laws and regulations for the area. You have to know all of those and show the investor you know all of them really well so that they are confident in your ability to get them. A labor forecast, some idea of how much you're spending on your people in this concept that you're trying to get them to invest in. You probably had a marketing plan pulled together there, right? And general kind of a P&L thing, right?
Yep, I had a 3-year cash flow, I had the P&L, I had balance sheets, I had the amount of all of the equipment, how much that costs. We had the demographics of the entire northern Colorado area. We talked about what the education level was, all like the potential locations that we were looking at, why those locations would be best to grab our target market. All of that information that you guys have gathered, that's what we used to reach out to those investors to get them started. Now, for the types of investors, there are a few different kinds. So you have your angel investor, and the name is definitely deceiving because they are not really angels. But so don't really, think like, oh, they're going to be so nice to me. They're not going to be nice to you. When at the end of the day, they are investors, they're going to want to know how they're going to get their money back. What is their return on investment going to actually be? And venture capitalists, and when you see venture capitalists, think of Shark Tank, right, Chef?
Yes, and you said something really important there: return on investment. If you're going to use an investor as one of your funding sources, that's part of the how and why of an investor is what are they getting out of this arrangement? Which I know we're going to talk about in a minute, but that should make it into your assignment too if you choose to have an investor.
You really should put that in the assignment because they're going to want to know. They're going to want to know how long it's going to take them to get their money back. And they're going to want to know what you're actually going to get out of it. And
just so you guys know, they want more than what they put in. They are risking their money giving it to you at the beginning. So most of the time, they're not looking to just loan you money. That's usually they don't just want you to pay back just what you borrowed.
And think of it this way, your bank, they have that interest rate that they expect. Investors are going to want that interest rate. They're going to want something back. So typically with a venture capitalist, they're typically looking at about 25 or higher percentage back, depending on how much money they're actually getting. A venture capitalist will give you more money than, say, an angel investor. An angel investor usually does less than a venture capitalist, and they expect a higher rate of return on theirs. And for those who are interested, I gave you guys these links right here, which actually help you find angel investors for your business. So they have different ones that are the best ones to actually find your investors. Here's one for venture capitalists. And it talks about where you can find it, where you can, this one has like June 11th, I guess, in San Diego, there's a pitch day. So you can go off and go to one of these actual like trade show like conferences and be able to do your pitch and see if you can find investors. And crowdfunding. You guys know all about crowdfunding. Everybody, I mean, you know, somebody sneezes and they set up a crowdfunding for themselves. So, and, oh no, my link broke. I'll fix my link for you guys before you, I'll fix that for you guys. But you can have food. There are crowdfunding areas specifically for our industry that you can go to and you can use. And my favorite story about crowdfunding is for those who love, you know, Geordi on Star Trek, The Next Generation, the best Star Trek, I say, is the Reading Rainbow. The Reading Rainbow actually set up a crowdfunding because they tried to get $1 million to get Reading Rainbow into all of the elementary schools throughout the US. So they had that ability to learn how to read and fall in love with reading for kids. And they, and if you, as you guys know, with crowdfunding, you either, if you set that limit, you either, like if you don't get that $1 million, if you don't reach your limit by that certain time frame that you set up, you don't get any of the money. It's all or nothing. And with Reading Rainbow, they set their $1 million within, I think it was 3 days. And so they set up a limit, a higher limit. They ended up with 5 million. And then Seth MacFarlane did at the very end, he was like, for that last $1 million, he would match whatever anybody else did to make certain that they got that 5 million. But remember, they got something back. So Geordi, and I'm actually blanking on the actor's name, and it's killing me because I love him.
Burton.
Thank you. Yes, LeVar Burton. He set it up where he said, okay, if you give us like $20, I will sign an autograph Star Trek Next Generation picture for you. If you give us $500, I will leave your voice, like I will do your voicemail message for you. If you do like, if you give $10,000, I will go to a Star Trek convention with you and have dinner with you. Like he actually set those things. And I've had friends who do that, and they were in the music industry and they wanted to get their CD. So they set up that crowdfunding for whoever gave them money. They, like at a certain amount of money, they would get a CD once the CD came out. Veronica Mars did the same thing for their crowdfunding. Whoever invested a certain amount, they got to get that, the digital version of the movie. So think about, no matter what, people are going to want something for their money. People will not just give you something for free. So think about that, especially if you're going to do crowdfunding. What are you going to give them back? And you can do those different levels like LeVar did to get people to, you know, get into your crowdfunding. And I absolutely love that. I love the fact they ended up making about $6 million for Reading Rainbow to get everybody back in. And, but when you are looking at doing your investors, you're going to want to know who is going to be all involved in your business. And this is really, really important because a lot of times people don't know that when somebody is talking about equity, that means that they want to have ownership in your business. So if an investor says they want equity, they want to be an owner. And you need to have those conversations, on those awkward conversations with whoever you are going to have in your business. And this is also part of your assignment for this week. I'm looking at the assignment right now. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Right here. And so if you're going to have investors who are going to be getting equity, that's not only going to be in that funding source, talking about that investor, you're also going to want to put that here. It's going to be me, my wife, and my investors all owning this business.
Yes, and this is where you have to have those awkward conversations. So, and I say awkward, I mean, if you are going to do this with somebody else, you're going to have a partner, if you're having 3 people doing this together, what happens if something goes wrong? So what happens? I am married, I have my husband. What happens if we get divorced? Is he going to go after my share of this business? What happens if I die? That can happen. I could get hit by a bus or something and I'm, aneurysm, something, fall dead. Who's going to get my share? Is it going to go to for me, it would go to my child. I would set it up to go to my child, but my child is 5 years old. He should not be making any form of business decisions at that point. So who's going to actually make those decisions while he is young? Or are you going to have it to give those other partners the opportunity to buy out like my side, like my share? Am I right, Chef?
You are. There are also some other really important, awkward conversations to have up front, like what everyone's role is going to be. And not only do you say, okay, I'm running back of house and you're running front of house, you then put it in writing and really have a lawyer put it in writing. Because you want that to be really well understood by everybody involved, what their role is in the company and what their role is not. Because you don't want somebody who you thought was just going to be an angel investor and not have any decision-making power, all of a sudden showing up in your restaurant one day and telling your employees what to do. That's not good for anybody. And if you don't have that in writing before you start, it's really hard to push back against that when they decide they want to be more active in the business.
Yeah, it's especially true when they decide to come into because it's a restaurant. They're going to have their friends come and say, hey, lunch is on me, dinner's on me, drinks are on me. And the drinks are not on them. It's on the business because they didn't pay for those drinks. So it's really important to have all of those types of conversations in the beginning. That we had that issue, especially the one that Chef Jonathan talked about, where you're going to have 3, like for me, we had 3 strong people, individuals looking to run this business, and nobody wanted to say who was doing what, who was going to be the CEO, who was going to be the COO, what everybody with roles were actually going to be for the business, because you have 3 strong people who all are used to leading and all had their own businesses and were owners before. So that's where it kind of broke down and we didn't end up going forward because we couldn't agree on that part of the conversation. And it's better for it to break down now in the very beginning than later when you're already thousands of dollars in it for it to break down. So have them now and have those conversations with your significant other too. Tell them they are, like, if they are not part of this business, then you need to say, you do not have say on this business. Like, you need to have that conversation. You need to say, you are not going to have any role in this. If I call in sick, you can't go in and start telling people what to do. Because that could potentially happen. And you're laughing, Chef Jonathan, because Chef Jonathan and I have worked with a variety of married couples, and I've worked with a variety of divorced couples who have owned businesses together. And it's not pretty for the employees, especially when they start arguing in front of you and then dragging you into those arguments. So don't do that. So have it in the beginning so it can just be that part of the conversation.
Not to say that being in business with your significant other is bad necessarily. So many people make this work in such a wonderful way. It's just you want to have clear understanding of what everybody's role is to begin with. And that makes for a much smoother, happier relationship no matter who that partner is.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with my husband for 5 years. I will not do that again, but talk about fantastic communication with each other. We can say anything to like we lay it all out on the table and we get it done. So but they're also going to want to, your investors are also going to know what your end game is. And when I say end game, I'm talking about what happens if, like, say, like Quaker Oats was like, wow, I love your product. Your product is fantastic. I want to buy your product from you. I want $5 million for it. Is $5 million going to be enough? Did you want to sell it for 10? Do you want to sell it for 15? When are you deciding you want to be out? Now, it also goes the opposite way. What if your business isn't doing great? You're at that point where it's kitchen nightmares. Gordon Ramsay's about to come in and start yelling at you. How much money have you lost thus far? And how much are you willing to lose before you say, I'm out, I'm done, we're going to close the doors? And you need to know those numbers so that you can create a plan. And because you always want to have a plan ready to go for that. And it has your pitch right here that I talked to you guys about. And I also have a fantastic link for you guys about what investors are going to ask and about your pitch. So when I'm talking about your pitch, you guys can look right here for that. And now we get to talk about your business entity. So you have whoever you want to be in business with. Now you get to figure out what type of business entity you are going to be. And this is also a part of your assignment.
This is the last part of your assignment, is talking about, here, let me actually show you. Last part of your assignment is talking about how the ownership will be structured and why. Don't just say LLC. Say, I'm going to go with an LLC for this ownership, for this business, because it protects me from personal liability. I'm going to use a corporation because of the tax benefits. Whatever the case may be, make sure that you're giving me the why. I just stopped that a little too soon. Each one of these answers should be 3 to 5 sentences. That's a good amount of detail. So just remember that as you're going through this assignment, we are looking for quite a bit of detail about why you've made the decisions that you have.
And because my slides go into quite a bit of detail for you, so you can go through. Just remember, do not copy paste my slides. Chef Jonathan knows all about these slides. We've gone through them all together. So don't just copy paste, write it in your own words. And you can reference my slides, but do not just say, I'm going to do this because of what Chef Rachel wrote in her slides. You actually have to write out why you want to do it this way. And it's the same thing for your business entity. And the most important thing I really want to make certain you guys understand, if you are going to do it and you have a partner involved, that doesn't mean you have to do a partnership. You can still have an LLC if you have another person involved. You can have an LLC if it's just you. And while sole proprietorship and partnerships are the easiest entities to create, they also have the most risk involved. Because if somebody does get food poisoning at your establishment, if somebody does trip and fall, if they decide to sue you, they can sue your business and they can go after everything that you own. So your mortgage, your car, your jewelry, your clothes, everything.
The roof over your head can literally be taken away from you if you are a sole proprietorship or a partnership.
Yes. And so that's where, while these are the easiest to create, I highly, highly suggest don't do it at all. Not at all. And the best one is this LLC, especially for you guys, because if that person does sue you, if you have it as an LLC or another type of corporation, they will go after the business, but they cannot go after you. They cannot go after anything that is personal. Right, Chef?
Absolutely. And if you think back to week 3, remember how we told you that first line should be you, the owner? That's because with an LLC, you are an employee of your business. You are not the same thing as your business. It gives this separation between you, the person, and you, the business. They're different, and you want to keep them different as much as possible, which is why putting yourself on a salary given by that LLC is really important. It shows that you are not the same thing.
Yes. And that's where, and because remember, with an LLC, it's a member, like you have members in your LLC. So you will have different members, and this is where knowing what each member's roles and responsibilities will be is really important. Now, your investor who wants that equity, they can be a member, but this is where you talk about being member managed, and you say member managed and decide who is managing the business. That's where you write that out in the beginning. And this is, once again, it's really key. Get help from a lawyer, because a lawyer who focuses on this type of thing will really help you and guide you through this process. So really get that lawyer involved to really help with this. Another great one is get a real estate agent. Be friends with a real estate agent, because my husband, he is in real estate, and he, what was it? It was last term, right, Chef Jonathan, where he talked about, he said to me, he's like, hey, did you still want to do that thing that you talked about doing? You know, like you wrote your entire your master's, like throughout your entire master's program, you wrote that entire like business plan, marketing plan, everything, your pitch and everything. Did you actually want to do that? And I was like, no, I don't really want to right now. Kiddo's young. He still like loves me. He hasn't turned to the dark side. That happens in the teenage years. So I'm still cool. Because I was like, why? And he was like, oh, well, I actually talked to some investors today, and they were interested in your idea and your concept. So if you wanted to do it, I know some people who would be interested. So really knowing a real estate agent can really help, because they may know somebody who wants to invest in something, and they may want to invest in your business. But that's where it's also really important to know your stuff. And if you decide to do a different type of corporation, you just need to know the differences between corporations. Now, LLC, that one I really like a lot, because you can structure it tax-wise a lot easier. It has that flexibility. The investors that we were going to use, one of them was from overseas. They weren't in the US. And so doing the LLC, and we were going to tax it like an S Corp, was really, really going to help our business, because I couldn't just flat out do an S corporation, because everybody involved in an S corporation needs to be from the US. So this is also where knowing where your investors are coming from, and who you're going to get is going to really help you create that business entity. But I would say by far doing that LLC and working it to how you want it to be is really, really going to be the best bet for you. Just be certain to get that lawyer involved so that they can help you and guide you through that process. And if you guys decided, you could always do a food co-op. A food co-op it's not like all the other ownerships, business ownerships, because you have a bunch of members involved. And this is where you can have, you have a better chance of actually getting up and running sometimes with a food co-op, but you also, there's the good and the bad with it, because you may not be business savvy, but somebody in that food co-op could be business savvy. So they could help get things going for you. And I gave a link for that too. So these are different food co-ops, because there's always food co-ops everywhere, that you guys can check out. And I did this one that's across the country. So hopefully there'll be one on this list that is around you, so you can go check it out and see if you like it and what your thoughts are. Another great thing with doing a food co-op is that you have the potential of getting grants and loans. If you do a food co-op, you have a better shot of actually getting like a government grant from it. But that also means you have to be an excellent writer to get that grant, like an excellent writer. And I say this with both Chef Jonathan and I knowing this very well, because my sister is a crazy scientist, crazy super smart scientist who has to write grants all the time. And so does Chef Jonathan's wife. You're over on this side for me, so that's why I'm pointing this way. But how many grants does she have to write a year?
A lot. Seems like she's pretty much always writing some type of grant application or contributing to with her lab. But grants are fantastic if you can get them. It's money that you don't have to pay back. However, they're very specific in the requirements to qualify for them, and they're very difficult to get because it is free money. So people want it. A lot of people apply for grants. And so the smaller the population going for a specific grant is, the easier it's going to be to get. So for instance, if there was a grant for people living at my address in my city, that'd be a great one. But if it's for any food industry concept, that's a really wide pool of people who are all trying to get that grant. So they are really, really difficult to get. So if you want to use a grant for your funding options, I really do need to see a lot of specifics on what grant you're looking at, what makes you qualified for that grant, and how you're going to go about getting it.
I mean, there are people who make it a profession just being a grant writer. So because it is so difficult to get a grant, I say, you know, go for it however many times you can. I would say go for it, but don't think you're going to get it every single time, because it's a good percent, like a very low percentage. I think, yeah, my sister, I don't even know how many grants she writes, but maybe she'll get one out of the 50 grants that she applied for, that kind of thing, because so many people are going for it, because it's free money. But that's where you really have to have your writing skills up to snuff, or know somebody who does have their writing skills up to snuff, and be able to just keep on going. Don't be defeated if you don't get it. You just keep on trying for everyone that they have. Because if you get defeated, that's like very easily by, you know, if you apply for one and you don't get it and you're like, oh my God, I didn't get it. Like my sister has to just nonstop go. She cannot be like, oh no, I didn't get it. She just has to be like, all right, well, let's move on. Let's do the next one, right?
And that's actually a really great piece of advice about all of these funding sources. If at first you don't succeed, keep on trying, shrug it off, go to the next one. All of these funding sources you may or may not get on your first application. Try again. They're all really terrific funding sources. They have their pros and cons. But when you find a source you like, don't let a no discourage you. That's a really big part of opening up your own business, a really big part of maintaining a business that's already going that might need some reinvestment to happen, is being able to shrug off the nose and keep moving forward.
Yeah, that is fantastic, because it is true. You just have to, it's perseverance. Like, this is your concept, and how bad do you want it to happen? And if you want it to happen really badly, then you're not going to care that somebody says no to you. They're going to say no. They may even, you can always ask, like, tell me the reasons why. And then they'll tell you, and then you say, okay, and you do improvements. You make it better. You figure it out. And for those who are starting off, you may want to consider even starting off slowly and doing something like a cottage law. Now, the cottage laws are created so that people can actually use your residential kitchen instead of a commercial one for certain items that you can sell at something like a farmer's market. And for that, I gave you a bunch of links because this one's great because it shows you each state and what each cottage law will be for each state. So if you just click on it, let's do Wyoming, it'll tell you what is allowed in your area. And there's a bunch of those ones too for you guys to go off of, because they have cottage laws and food. It's 2008, but they haven't updated it yet. Or 2018, they haven't updated the 2019 yet, but it has all the different stuff like the required labeling, what type of packaging you're allowed to do, what the FDA codes, all that good stuff is. So you have this fantastic thing for you guys, and you have this awesome one that will tell you like where you're allowed to sell it. You can sell it at events and online. You can sell it at your farmer's market, roadside stands, but you cannot sell it at a restaurant or retail store. So this is really great because it just nicely breaks down what you are and are not allowed to do. So this is here for you guys if you decide that you want to start looking now at, start making something. If you make a fantastic salsa, you may be able to sell that salsa. And then these are just a million different links for you guys that I thought were super important that we haven't gone over in the class, but this will definitely help. And this is why I say double check make sure that you made copies of all of the slides. And this one right here, I just really like this guy. He's super cool. And he's done a really fabulous job of doing this whole vertical integration, if it will load. Because he went, his dad was a dairy farmer and he went to school. He got his master's in something, I can't remember what, something science related for farming. And he decided I wanted to be in control of every single aspect of my product. So he went and he created this holdings company that has all of these different businesses underneath. So he has the dairy farm. He makes the feed for his animals to eat. He has has the delivery company to deliver all of the products that he makes at his farms. And so it's a great Brander Milk Transport. So it's a great company to look at to see how he was really able to take it and go straight from the farm all the way to the store. And then once again, guys, do your survey. They're worth extra credit, so get those done. Your summer break begins next week. Woo! So enjoy your summer break, but don't enjoy it too much that you don't come back to class July 10th. So come back to class July 10th. Get your knowledge checks done, get those discussions done. If you didn't get them done, get your peer responses done. Your week 5 late submissions are due tonight, and your week 6 assignment will be due on Sunday. So remember, get all those in. And it has been a pleasure. I've enjoyed teaching you guys these past 6 weeks together. It's been fun. I love this class, and because there's so many different possibilities out there, and you don't just have to be in a restaurant if you don't want to be in a restaurant. You can do so many different things, and it's all about being open to the possibilities. And I know that Chef Jonathan loves being in this class just as much as I do.
I do. This is a fantastic class. We get such a great overview. We get to look at so many different aspects of a business in this course and take it with you guys' dream and goal, and specifically in mind. I love this class, and it's been really fun being with you guys the last 6 weeks. Just one more time reminder, if you want to have an opportunity to resubmit, make sure to submit before Sunday, because anything that's submitted after midnight on Sunday morning, Saturday night, I won't be able to get to before the course closes at 11:59 p.m. on Sunday night. Make sure you get everything done, knowledge checks. If you have to make anything up, make sure to get in touch with one of us. If you have to resubmit your week 5, make sure to do that before Sunday night. Otherwise, it's been a blast.
It has been. And for those who are trying to reach out, just FYI, I will be at the Escoffier graduation in Boulder on Saturday. So if you're trying to reach me on Saturday, I will be at graduation. So you may hear from me then on Sunday. But it has been a pleasure. I hope you guys were able to learn a lot. It's a fantastic industry to be a part of. In all of the assignments, everything is a great foundation and is a great tool for you guys to use and go out there and make it your own. So I hope everybody has a fabulous rest of your week. Remember, it ends on Sunday. Oh, another thing too, if you guys remember, everybody is on break. So if you do try to email anybody during break, you will not get a response until everybody is back in July 10th. So remember that if you try to email anybody during this break or try to contact them, you're not going to hear from anybody. Everybody's on break. So plan ahead. If you want to hear from somebody, contact them now. Okay. But have a fabulous week, guys, and enjoy your next set of classes. Oh, this ends. It's so sad. I love this class. So bye, everyone. Have a great one. Enjoy your break.